Yeah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send salutations upon our beloved Prophet. And just as our brother made mention of Alasan, I am actually given this honor to lead my fellow contributors to this celebration, the virtual celebration we're coming to start with, inshallah. Without wasting much time, we just get into the prayers, bi'idhnillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم آمنا في أوطاننا وأصلح أئمتنا وولاة أمورنا يا رب العالمين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وعلمتنا وينفعنا بما علمتنا يا رب العالمين ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث يا رحمن الدنيا والآخرة اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد سبحان ربنا رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you, Babu, so for that. Can I invite my co-moderator, Fatmara Conde?
Thank you very much, Alasan Konate. To our dear special guest, Dr. Omarja of the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the Islamic University of Technology in Bangladesh. Our guest speaker, Mr. Hasum Sise, the Director General of National Center for Arts and Culture. My brothers and sisters from Gambia and Sierra Leonean students community in Bangladesh, the Gambia Students Association in Morocco, Association of Gambian Students in Turkey, Association of Gambian Students in India, and Gambian students in China. Assalamu alaikum to you all. My name is Fatmata Conte, and I welcome you all to this event. I'm a fourth year student studying computer science and engineering in the Islamic University of Technology. It's with great privilege to serve as a co-moderator with Alassana Konata as the moderator to this event on the theme, the roles of international students in fulfilling the dreams of our freedom fighters. As we all know that Independence Day is important because it reminds us of the sacrifice that our freedom fighters did, as my moderator said, to pay tribute to them, and it's a day of pride and joy. And as we all know that we are ambassadors of one common nation, the Gambia, we must respect and remember to give back to the nation that has done so much for us. We must keep the ideology of our identity alive, love and protect our country by being the best representatives outside of our country. With that being said, I would like to call on Mr. Sekou Demba from Gassam to play the national anthem for us. I would also like to request all of us to stand while the national anthem is being played. Mr. Sekou Demba. Is Mr. Sekou there?
Sorry, are you hearing the sound?
No.
No.
Not on
Why
my
would you are
end.
sharing without the sound?
Sorry for that. A minute, please.
Mr. Sekou, I will suggest you stop sharing and share again with the sound. I think it might work.
If there are some technical problems, why don't you fix it and conclude with it? If there are technical problems, maybe you can try to fix it, and then at the conclusion, then you close with the national anthem. No problem.
All right, that is an idea.
Yes.
So we would like to call on a representative from GAMSIL to introduce himself and his union, please.
Great. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Okay. My name is Famara Bojang. Thank you, sir. My name is Famara Bojang, a final year student at the Islamic University of Bangladesh, IUT, studying technical education, specialization, mechanical engineering, and at the same time, the president of GAMSIL community in IUT. I'm honored to be part of this great event, the virtual independence celebration of our country, and in remembrance of our freedom fighters in fulfillment of their dreams. I would like to thank each and every member of this group, from our special guests, my Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Umar Jah, and Mr. Hassan Sise from Arts and Culture, and my fellow panelists and the entire student body from different parts of the world as a Gambian students. In honor being the president of the Gambia Association and Sierra Leone Community in Bangladesh, I would like to give a brief history about Gamsil community. The Gambians have been coming in Bangladesh for studies since in the early 90s to 80s. The community have gone through amalgamation since then. In the year 2010, it was named the Senegambia community, which consists of Gambia, Chad, and Senegal. Until 2017, after all Senegalese left, it became the Gambian community. As a newly admitted student at the Islamic University of Technology, having a senior from same country is glorious. For you, will be given a warm welcome, a blissful stay on campus, and feel at home is phenomenal. In 2018, 2 Sierra Leonean students were denied such privilege as there was no senior at the time and they were left stranded at the hall entrance. However, out of the magnificence of Gambians in IUT, the 2 brothers were recompensed by giving them the warm welcome and feel at home they deserve. In order to reciprocate the gesture, that results in the birth of Gambia Sierra Leonean community, Gamsil for short. At present, Gamsil community consists of 3 nations, the Gambia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea-Bissau, with almost 50 members. Our achievement as a community. The community has held the title of the best community on campus for 4 years now, based on the following: peaceful and well-behaved members, well-organized and the most structured community in the entire university campus, and academic excellence. The community won the IUT International Intercommunity Football Competition twice in a space of 3 years. That is the year 2019 and 2021. At present, the community is crowned as the champions of the university. What we do as a community: 1, to foster and promote mutual understanding, cooperation among members, to help organize, coordinate curricula and other academic related activities at community level, to provide short-term soft loans to members as required, to acquire equipment and material for community use and fund generation as required. Our great nation, the Gambia, have been small in size, but has a large heart in accepting, loving, and embracing the cultures and values of others. We are called the smiling coast of Africa because we spread smiles on faces of other nations in adversity. It is with these words, the Gamsil community wishes all the people of the Gambia a blessed independence anniversary. I thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Boyan. And I see, as my co-moderator said, you are there as a representative of the Gambia, and you have shown it very well there in how you take care of those African friends that were there in that adventure. And in that case, we would like to welcome Gassam, a representative from Gassam, to introduce themselves and their union. Is Mariam available? Mariam Sabali from Gassam.
She is muted. She is talking, but she is muted. She has to unmute herself so we can hear.
Oh, okay.
You're still muted, sister. We can't hear you.
1 minute. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, yes, but your voice is very low.
Okay. What about now?
Yes, you are loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Welcome,
My
sir.
name. Okay, hope you're all doing well. My name is Mariama Sabali. I'm a third year medical student. I'm the representative from the host union today, which is GASAM, an acronym for Gambian Student Association in Morocco. So I will just give a brief introduction about GASAM and what's it about and all of that. GASAM was created in 2004. We just celebrated our 17th anniversary in November. It's a nonprofit organization which consists of executives, the G3 body, whose main function is to oversee the activities of the executive, of course, and the National Assembly, which includes city representatives. GASAM, one of the main aims of GASAM has always been in promoting personal development and skills for its members. It has done this by creating platforms and blogs for writers or poets. And we have amazing writers and poets in GASAM, honestly. So if you guys have the time, you can actually check out our website, www.gasam.net, or I will actually type it in the comment section so you can check the website later. You'll actually be amazed. So we have amazing writers and poets and all of those stuff. GASAM has also made it its responsibility to give aid and assistance to its members, as well as unify us through annual activities like Korite, Tobaski, winter trips, and some leadership trainings during the semester as well. It has also created charity projects, right, for those that are less fortunate. And it has also made it its aim, one of its priorities, to present the Gambia as much as it could through the showcase of the richness of our culture. We already have a rich culture, and GASAM has made it its aim to present that culture to everyone around us. It has also created bonds, strong bonds between other student unions from different countries, as well as the embassy of the Gambia, which has been of great help to us, the students. It had made life so easier for us. And the agency as well, the agency that provides the scholarship, to an extent that we now have access to master's program after our bachelor's. So honestly, I mean, GASAM has achieved remarkable things, and all I can say is thank you to GASAM for being there for us as students. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Mariam, for that introduction. And we would like to, can I give the floor to my co-moderator to call on the next union?
Okay, thank you very much, Sister Mariama Savali. We would now like to call on Pamudu Drame to give an introduction about the Association of Gambian Students in Togi. Pamudu Drame.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, with a sense of humility and great respect, I extend my sincere regards to the following important personalities here present. I acknowledge the presence of Dr. Amadja, the presence of following my fellow colleagues, excellencies. I want to start by acknowledging the importance of this event. Today marks a great day in the annals of the Gambian history, a day in which Gambia attained self-determinations. The word in quotations, independence, is still debatable among scholars and historians. Whether today was the actual day in which Gambia obtained independence is another debate of the day. In relation to that, my name is Pamudu Drame. I am a master's student in International Peace and Conflict Studies at the Ankara Social Sciences University. I'll be extremely happy to talk about AGAST. In short, we call it AGAST, is the Association of Gambian Students in Turkey. And let me make a quick disclaimer before starting to give the nitty-gritties of AGAS. AGAS is one of the most structured international student body here in Turkey because we have diligent members, both within the executive and the general student body, that have AGAS at heart, that really played a very crucial role towards the betterment of Gambian students in Turkey. AGAS was formed or founded in 2010, late 2010, by very devoted and dedicated Gambian important personalities or students. And the main purpose of AGAS was to cement the bond of brotherhood, to grow the seed of friendliness, to grow the seed of brotherhood so that the fruit of unity can be harvested. And we have been harvesting that fruit of unity because the seeds were well planted by important personalities. AGAS has been helping Gambian students in Turkey, various activities and various events. We normally help them in their residence permit application. You know, when students normally come newly in a city, they get that feeling of paranoid. We help them to settle down. We give them a sense of belongingness, a sense of home feeling. We help them in their residence permit applications. We pick students from the airport, help them in their dormitory registrations, and we do organize a lot of activities. I had the presidents of Morocco talking about they have good writers and whatsoever. But when you want to see the foundation of knowledge, when you want to see brains among brains, come to Turkey. Turkey is blessed with all type of people, like in the area of medicines, in the area of literature, whatever you talk about. So we have a website where we normally publish our academic articles, poets, where people can read and manure their brains, because the brain is just like a land. Even if the brain is not manure, it cannot germinate any good seeds. So AGAS, in short, is a student body among student body. It is a well-recognized student body, which is here to make sure that Gambians feel home in every aspect of the world. On that note, I may kindly like to sign off. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pamodu Drame, for that wonderful introduction. I would now like to call on Mr. Modilamin Fati, the representative of the Association of Gambian Students in India. Mr. Modilamin Fati, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. This is a very important platform. I would also join my colleagues in acknowledging the presence of Dr. Ja and also our guest speaker, the erudite historical scholar of the Gambia, Mr. Hassoum Ceesay, and by extension, acknowledge the presence of all your excellencies, representatives and presidents of student organizations in your various countries. And one more person, that is the person who just spoke, Mr. Pamodu Drame, also welcoming you as a senior, as a mentor who actually participated in shaping who I am today back in the days in Nusrat. Moving on, I'd also join Pamodu to acknowledge the importance of this event because as youngsters, I feel there is something that is there for the future, and that is positivity. When we discuss, when we dialogue, when we, the Wolof would say, and I so much believe in this, I repeat this in most of my talks, and that is, Rero amut, way ñaka waxtana am. When we sit down and dialogue, that is when we would be able to iron out whatever differences that are there. Because our synchronization as a people does not depend on our similarities. It highly depends on our ability to identify what our differences are. And we see how best we can seek that unity in diversity. So I'm very much glad and happy to be part of this program. At our level, as Association of Gambian Students in India, it has been in existence since 2017. I think it is one of the youngest associations, not comparing it to Gassam, who is, can I say, going towards menopause. That is just an icebreaker. 2004. Yes, so we are one of the youngest associations, but also vibrant at our domain. in making sure that we maintain the welfare of Gambian students in India. We came into office last year, 2021, but generally the activities that we do is similar to what Turkey also does, and that is we help students to settle in India because we have this fund saying that India is a continent of its own. One city in a state itself can be 6 times the whole population of the Gambia. So when students come, they're overwhelmed with the cosmopolitan nature of India. So some of them find it difficult to settle in terms of the accommodation structures, the food that they would eat, and even how to find themselves to their various host institutions. So executives that are found or seniors that are found in different states, once we get information of students' arrivals, what we introduced this year was, before students would leave the Gambia, we organize an orientation program for them in the Gambia itself with the help of our alumni association. This alumni association came into being actually this year when we told them that students would be coming, and then the very chunk of the students would be coming. They don't know about India. So we used the alumni association to organize an orientation program and guide the students on the expectations, because some students, when they're traveling outside the Gambia for the first time, you have high hopes. And most especially, most of us that will be following the Indian movies on the TVs, we get to think that India, the way it looks on the media, that is how it is. I tell my mom, not every junction I can take a selfie because I wouldn't want to expose where I am staying. So these are some of the hopes that we try to make it normal to the people before they come, and the welfare maintenance starts way before they come to India. Then we pick them up from the airport, also help them with their foreign registrations, taking them to their respective institutions. And then, the scholarship board would go. We have 4 categories of students here. First one is the ICCR, which is the Indian Cultural Relations Scholarship, fully funded with stipend. And then we have the Study in India, another branch of the Indian government that caters for only your tuition fees and your accommodation, depending on your grades, but it has no stipend. Your flight tickets wouldn't be taken care of. I see somebody's texting to say I can conclude. Is it that my time is over or what? Somebody sent Sir conclude,
Yes.
please.
Yes, can you conclude, please?
Okay. All right, so these categories, Study in India is there, and then we also have self-funded students. And then we have students that are on the government short programs that would come here. So all these are also catered for in the Association of Gambian Students. So this is our composition, and this is how we are also trying our best to maintain the welfare of Gambian students in India in collaboration with the High Commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lamin Fati, for that introduction. We would like to call on Mr. Lamin Kesedi from GSIC in China to introduce himself and his union.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah once again. Yes, as you've mentioned, my name is Lamin Kesedi. I am a 4th-year student in China. My major is International Economics and Trade. All praises is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for granting us this opportunity to meet as international students to celebrate our independence. Thank Allah for that. Well, not to waste much of your time, I would love to acknowledge the presence of our guest speakers and everyone who is who had spared his or her time to join us here. I greet you all. The Association of Gambian Students in China is given the acronym GSIC, GSIC. It was formed in 2018 to help form a network of all Gambian students currently studying in China. We currently have a membership of about 109 students. The executive body is made up of 8 members headed by the president. Since China is a big country and it's difficult to it's difficult to have communication and physical meetings, The association, beside the executive body, also have a Congress body that is made up of city representatives from every city in China that has Gambians. The Congress body is headed by the Congress head, who is also a Congress member. They help the executives in so many things. The reason for the establishment of GISIC is to tackle problems faced by its members, most importantly regarding their studies and every other aspect of their daily lives while living in China. It began by providing pickup services from the airport to the new students coming to China, and providing loans to new students until they are settled. Started with few executives and members, the association also helped to bring students together annually to develop love and harmony among ourselves. We also embark on give back programs to the society, a program that collects unused clothes, shoes, and all other household materials and send them to Gambia. As a union, these are just few of the things we do in giving back to our country and our countrymates. GISIC is open for collaboration to all student unions across the globe. And I would love to thank you all once again for your kind attention. Thank you very much. I will share our email and our website on the chat box, inshallah.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge the presence of our panelists. We have Farmana Bojang from Gamsil, Mariama Savali from Gassam, Pamodu Drame from August, Modu Lamin Fati from Gamind, and Lamin Kesedi from GSIC. And with that being said, it's now my great pleasure to introduce to you our special guest, a humble and honored man known for the love he has for his country, a true patriotic, and by the name Dr. Omar Jah, the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the Islamic University of Technology. Dr. Omar Jah hails from Fas Omar Saho in Lower Nyumi, the Gambia. He attended Muslim Senior Secondary School before proceeding to Algeria and obtained a diploma in techniques of Islamic propagation, then to Egypt, where he obtained an A-level and BA from Al-Azhar University. He then got both his master's degree and PhD in Malaysia, and then joined the University of the Gambia. In 2002, upon receiving an invitation from Malaysia, where he established a Department of Islamic and Arabic Language Studies and actively participated in establishing Faculty of Law. He develops the curriculum of the department and headed the unit for 6 years. And furthermore, serving as Deputy Vice Chancellor since 2010 in the Islamic University of Technology for over 5 years, reporting directly to the Vice Chancellor. He also served as an AG Vice Chancellor in 2015. And in 2018, he served as the Acting Vice Chancellor and now as the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the Islamic University of Technology. Dr. Jah published a number of articles and a book in peer-reviewed journals and served in many organizations and boards and received many awards of both national and international. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to present to you our special guest, Dr. Omar Jah. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Thank you very much, Fatumata, for these beautiful words. I'm really impressed. I'm happy by what I have just heard from different student bodies in different parts of the world. I had the honor of visiting, in fact, some of them. I was in Morocco. I had a short lecture with them. It is my habit that whenever I travel, wherever I go, my first responsibility, as I feel, is to contact the students because they are the future. I also visited the Turkish about 2 years ago before the pandemic. I visited also the Turkish student body. We had a short lecture also in Istanbul. I had a plan to visit India, but unfortunately just the pandemic hit when Ambassador Jainaba was there. In fact, I nearly went to India. I have never been to China, but I'm thrilled. I think what I have heard changed my mood. My speech and advice was going to be a little bit pessimistic, but now I can have the mixture and the combination of a pessimist and an optimist, a kind of individual, because we, the elderly, always feel happy when we look at the young generation who are the future, feel with joy, feel with ambitions, feel with big dreams. It makes us really think or rethink about the future of the universe. Knowing what I know geopolitically, I was a little bit pessimist, but having listened to you, definitely, I'm happy and I can have the mixture. I have been asked to give just a piece of advice, but before I go and give the piece of advice, let me acknowledge the presence of a friend, Mr. Sisa Hasum, the DG. Mr. Sisa and I have met a number of times, well-versed, very humble individual that you meet and you instantly like. So Mr. Sisa, I welcome you, and definitely very happy that you are the guest speaker. They say in Arabic, so you give the topic to he who can really handle it. I welcome you, and I welcome all my sons and daughters and nephews and nieces and my brothers and sisters on the platform. Of course, my advice will be within the theme, which is your roles in fulfilling the dreams of the freedom fighters. I'm happy that you have chosen this topic. I'm happy that you spontaneously just thought of it and invite us and organize it. It is telling us something. It's telling us there is a value in you. And my advice is within the topic, which is going to be handled ably, I know, by Mr. Hasum. My advice is for you to just break the cycle, break the circle. When I was putting some jots on this, I was more pessimistic, knowing what I know about the world, and that most of what we call independence is a little bit an illusion. I may look kind of odd or awkward, but I think as time goes and you go deeply into geopolitical realities, you will also understand my kind of oddness in terms of telling you that you have still to break the circle. There is a saying by Malcolm X. I listened to one of his speeches when he said, we are trapped, double trapped, triple trapped. And any solution that somebody comes with is just another trap. You know, they say that somebody who feels it knows it, and who lives it feels it. I think Malcolm X was speaking from the experience of somebody who lived it and felt it and knew it. The fate of Africa is something that we all should feel and try to work hard to really liberate. And here, that's why I call it you. We are hopeful that you will break the circle. It's the circle of being trapped. And any solution that you come with, you discover that you are trapped. And your role should be both. I think conventionally, you have a big role to play, because conventionally, what is called independent, we have not yet been able to attain. And I think when you look at some of the freedom fighters like Nkrumah, for example, you can see that one of his quotations, he's talking about the independence being a prelude. It's not an independent really, but it's a prelude to real independence. And in another of his speeches, he talks about neocolonialism as the last stage of imperialism. You see, and that is why I think we are more of an illusion of an independent. That's why we hope that you will break the circle, or the circle of this Malcolm X called double trap and triple trap. And I just come to tell you what is the circle? Maybe you can say, what is Dr. Ja talking about? We are trapped in the sense of nationalism. For example, even this flag that we are raising is just one trap. Why? Because Africa cannot develop when we think like Gambia alone, like Senegal alone, like Guinea-Bissau alone, we have to think Africa. That is why even Nkrumah said it in one of his speech. I am not an African because I was born in Africa, but because Africa is born in me. You see, so if you don't think Africa, believe me, you cannot reach or attain independence at the level of conventional, but even at the level of what I call the hardcore independence. So that's why I believe that it is very good that we raise these flags, the Senegalese flag, the Gambian flag, and then we sing. But I want you, the young generation, to think deeper and to shoot higher, to think Africa, because no country, I can tell you, can get independent, in that individualistic, nationalistic, and of course, sometimes patriotism, but nationalism even is not good, but patriotism is very good. But even within that circle of patriotism, that we are Gambian, these people say we are Senegalese, we are Bissawian, we are Turkish. Okay, you can get a little bit of independence, but you will never. That is why I try to break the circle of nationalism and break the circle of patriotism in that sense. Try to be, because when they scramble for Africa, when the scramble for Africa was not against Gambia. When the Europeans attacked us and scrambled for Africa in the 90s, it was not against Gambia or Senegal, it was against Africa because of your African identity. That's number one, that you have to break the cycle. Secondly, you have to break the cycle of education. Even today, conventionally, you cannot escape slavery, you cannot escape exploitation without education. The best mechanism to survival and to liberation is education. But even with that, we are trapped. Our educational system has been designed by people who want us to be kept in check. Now, we idolize English language. Look at those who are in China, those who are in Turkish. What is the official language of China? What is the official language of China? What is the official language of Malaysia? Look at that. We are still trapped in idolizing English. I'm not saying that is bad, but that is the conventional way of getting independent within the framework of thinking English. When you think English, you act English. When you think French, you act French. And that is it. So conventionally, we are trapped. That is why even at the educational level, we are hoping that you, the young generation, will free us elders into revisiting our paradigm in education. You see, this is another how to call it, another trap that we have to break the cycle. Secondly, or thirdly, external exploitation. External exploitation, you see, now we have independence. Why? Because when you have independence and you cannot take your strategic decision, now Senegal cannot take a strategic decision. Of course, they ask you to just be there. They ask you to lead, but you cannot rule, or you rule, but you don't lead. No African president is allowed to rule and lead. No African president is allowed to take strategic decision. We hope that you, the student, inshallah, will break that cycle. The last one of the cycles or the trap is the internal, what I call the internal betrayal, because Africa's squeeze is squeezed between the external enemy exploiting us not to get independent and an internal enemy that is a betrayal. Look at our own freedom fighters. That is what we call, like Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta. You think of those people. They had a big dream. Nkrumah wanted to unite Africa because he said, either unite or perish. He understood that you cannot go as Gambia or Senegal. Either unite or perish. That is Nkrumah in one of his speech. So the unity is very important, but he could not succeed because Nkrumah was so intelligent, but he was not readily understood by his contemporary. You have Nkrumah, yeah, you have Jomo Kenyatta, you have others, but parallelly, you have some betrayals. For example, there are people like President Senghor, Ovibuanyi, and others who keep betraying us, and you still have them. So Thomas Sankara was eliminated by a friend. This is the problem. So you are also trapped internally, what I call the external enemy and the internal betrayal. So these are things that make me really a pessimist. And it is a tall order in order for us to really get a real independent economically to serve our nations. Because if you think now of Africa being exploited by France, now the budget of Senegal, 50% of about 18 countries in Africa goes to France. Now, when you look at the Gambian loan, for example, how to call it, the debt, how are we going to pay those debts? Now, look at also compare, for example, Gambia, we get independence in 1965, and the Singapore that get independence at the same time. Now, look at our, what we call per capita income. Today, Gambia's per capita income is $700 or $800. The Singaporean per capita income is $58,000. What is the difference? Why? Because there is another cycle, which is we don't have the total absence of the African role model for development, a total absence for African development role model. In Asia, they had it in Japan. So but we have to break that cycle also. So, but these are a pessimistic kind of thing. But to finally conclude, I have a very optimistic, futuristic kind of view also in you. When I listen to you, I'm happy, frankly speaking. Why? Because I visited many countries of the world, especially in Scandinavian countries, where I see Gambians compare with our brothers and sisters in Senegal. Gambians started going to Scandinavian countries in the 60s, in the 50s. Senegalese just came after 20 years, but look at the impact that the Senegalese are having in the outside. You go to Morocco, you go to America, you go to Scandinavian countries, the impact that the Senegalese are having positively on those nations and the impact of the Gambia. We, as Gambia, we really have a fundamental problem of not what we call collective consciousness. We don't relate. But now I'm seeing in you that you are relating. You see, so I'm really happy that the Bangladeshi students where I am connecting to China, connecting, and they speak in a very nice, different disciplines. So you are making us, you are making us proud. Maybe you are going to succeed where we failed. That is why I'm very hopeful. That is why your role is to know your freedom fighters, the history, because you have to have a role model. Who is your role model? And in these freedom fighters also, you have to understand now that normally we conventionally don't think of real freedom fighters also. Of course, when you think of Nkrumah, it's very good. Sadauda Jawara, Semega Jani, and all those for the Gambian case and other people. But also try to widen your scope in freedom fighters. When you come to West Africa, those that are Arabically oriented, Islamically oriented, they used to exclude them from the freedom fighters. Look at the Senegambian case. You look at Maba Jakuba. Look at say Ahmad Bamba. Those people who were even exiled, but they were not French. They could not speak English, but they really started the fight in West Africa. Maba Jaku, my own grandparents who was killed in Sombe, in Senegal. And then you speak of those people who were exiled. Then the freedom fighters should not only be, of course, we thank all of them and we are very proud of them, all of them, Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela, Thomas Sankara, Sadauda Jawara, and all of these people. But then let you widen the scope, because when you widen the scope, that will give you and inject enough dose to know now that there are other people who had some religious and spiritual dimension which constitute, in fact, the harder independence. Because the conventional independence we don't have yet, but we need a harder independence that they were fighting for, and that is to become only the sole servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the real independence is when you have only one Lord, and that Lord is Allah. And this is what the Europeans know. That's why they don't want us to read the Quran. They don't want us to read the Bible. But when you read the Bible and you only believe in Jesus and Allah, nobody enslave you. When you read the Quran, you have only one Lord, who is Allah. Nobody on us enslave you. That is why they were attacking our other freedom fighters on the spiritual side. So you have to break this. You are breaking the cycle. You have to know definitely your freedom fighters. You have to have a role model. And also you are futuristic. These are all that gives me optimistic that inshallah in a very near future, we will see a different Gambia, but we will see a different Africa, especially looking into what is happening in Senegal and the revolutionary awareness coming on into from Senegal and from Mali. Look at the Andsamujikoy in Senegal and what is happening. They are now fighting homosexuality like hell, and which we should also do, right? Because homosexuality represents, or what we call LGBTQ, represent the root of evil, which is now pushed into the African society, so much so that they don't want us to get independent at all. Because when you all engage in LGBTQ in 30 years, then you perish. And that is why the real independence is also a tall order, but we are very hopeful listening to you. Now Gambians will really help us fight all those vices and come up with new solutions that the old did not have. So with that, I would like to thank you again for inviting me, hoping that this piece of advice will boost your moral, as also inculcate some values and knowledge in you to really help us get our continent independent and get our country also independent. Thank you for your invitation. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
We thank Dr. Jah for that eye-opening advice and a little bit harsh reality of what is going on and a hope for the future. With all that said, we would like to start our discussion with the panel. I would like to ask one of the panelists a question. Let's start with Mr. Famara Bojang. Is Famara Bojang around? Do you really think we achieve independence when we are almost fully dependent on other countries for electricity, security, etc.?
Assalamu alaikum once again. To my own level of understanding, I believe we still not attain independence, in a sense that because we are not self-reliant. Because if you look at our country, almost 99% of what we survive on come from outside. And by looking at the landscape of our country, I believe, and the size, the number of people, the population of Gambia, we should be able to attain anything when we work together as a nation. For example, the country I'm in presently in Bangladesh, if you look at the landscape of Bangladesh and the landscape of Gambia, it cannot be much. But there's like 99% of Bangladesh, what they are consuming is coming from them. So to my extent, I believe Gambia still, we don't have full independence. Because independence means you have to rely on yourself, both economically and any other aspect you might think of. But to be quite honest, it's sad sometimes that Gambia, come on, it's like all what we are looking for, education, because if you look at it presently, almost most of our people, if they want to be educated, they have to go outside Gambia. If we need food, we have to go outside Gambia. We need medical attention, we have to go outside Gambia. If you are seriously in Gambia, you cannot be treated. And the funniest part of it, we have all the qualities in Gambia, but yet still, we are not utilizing them. Because if you look at it from, I'm not going to say even after independence or even well, just around 1965, I'm even going to say from 2000 to 2021, the number of graduates who graduate from different universities in terms of different fields, engineering, medicine, agriculture, but yet still all these things combined together, we have not even moved an inch. So in that sense, to me, I believe still we don't attain independence 100%. Might be 25% because we are a sovereign country of our own. But in self-reliance, we are not. Yeah.
All right, Farmer Bojan.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer Bojang, for answering that question. According to the agenda, we are supposed to have Mr. Hassan Sise, and we are still in waiting to see him around. We are so sorry for the delays, but then we'll be continuing with the other part of the agenda by asking questions to the panelists. This question is directed to Modu Lamin Fati. The question reads, can we say that the slowness in the development of our nation is due to the fundamental weakness in the foundation of our country put together by the British? Is Mr.
All right, I'm around.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. The slow rate of development, to me, I wouldn't blame the Britishers, because when we do that, it is going to be joining historically people that would come and start blaming that, like the Yaya system of governance. For 400 years, you were in the Gambia and you didn't do anything about it. So how long shall we continue to be lamenting and be complaining about it? You know, just to put it in line with the first question, I believe we are 100% independent. It's just that we don't have people that are going to govern us towards the right path. But the self-determination itself is what you need. If you're able to decide for yourself today, if we want to be in line, we were in with these people. What am I call it? Jammeh was with was it with the Taiwanese? When Barrow came, now we are with the Chinese people. So we are deciding internationally geopolitics who we are going to align ourselves with. So it is the governance system and it is patriotism where it lacks, where we cannot put it to ourselves. In 1994, Rwanda was also on the ground, but because of leadership, because of institutions, because of patriotism, seeing the country forward, they have put all their differences behind and then saw all the Rwanda. And today, some of us are even wishing, why can't we go and even do our masters in Rwanda? When I see Rwandans in India here, I ask them, how comes you are outside Rwanda? But you know, those are some of the internal issues that they will talk about. But to me, I feel that we should stop the blame of the Britishers and make sure that we have our right institutions and correct leadership to put us to the right channel. I believe we can, and we should be able to do that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Modu Lamin Fati. Okay, and then the next question, the answers to the question, I think, so from what you are saying, you are saying that you can't blame the British, we have to have good leadership, from what you are saying. Then the other question can be, it's from, the other question is directed to Mariama Savali, and it reads, what do you think are some of the most pressing health issues of our nation today?
Okay, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think one of the main problems with the health system is the inadequate workforce and resources, as well as the poor sanitary environment, which are all really essential for health. You know, there's this saying that health is wealth, which is very true. That is indeed wealth, but we have inadequate workforce and resources, and this pandemic has actually made it worse for the Gambia. And there's this uprising in mental health, right? And which stems from the increase. One of the reasons is sexual abuse and assault, especially in young children, which has actually increased throughout these years, and it's not being addressed like it should be. And I think we actually have to advocate for this as much as we could, because it's really important for us to do this. There's a saying that we all believed in at some point, that the youths are the future of the Gambia, or rather in national development as a whole. But there are youths that are actually suffering from sexual assaults, domestic violence and such, and we don't talk about it because these are taboo topics, right? And we have to, because if we can't help these children become the men and women that they can be in the future to help develop the Gambia, then the Gambia is not going to go anywhere. We need to talk about mental health. We need to talk about how we can help these kids go through post-traumatic depression, heal from their trauma, and actually become the citizens that we need them to be. And also, one of the pressing issues is the increase in mortality rate of, well, male, right, of the male species. We don't really talk about mortality rate of men in the country, and it's actually rising. Like 31.9 out of 100 men die every single year. It's an annual thing, and this is caused by chronic diseases, right, which could be actually managed at some point. Right, we could actually manage these diseases, but it's actually those diseases that are the main cause of death for men, instead of infections or other terminal diseases. So I think we actually have a long way to go in our health system, and we just need to start talking about it and addressing it, especially the mental health issue.
Thank you, Mariam Sabari, for that wonderful answer. I would like to ask Pamodu Drame this question. What do you think are our biggest achievements within these 57 years of independence? Is Pamodu Drame available?
Yes, I'm here, and thank you for the question. Can you please rephrase the questions again? I have lost it.
What do you think are our biggest achievements within these 57 years of independence? Though we still have this question to answer, whether we are actually independent or not. Because according to Fatih, we are independent, we are our own selves. Whatever happens after the independence is up to us. And there are others who believe we have never been given the independence. It was just an imaginary independence that we had. So first of all, what do you think we have gained independence, or do you think that was just an image?
Okay, your question has two. It's just like a coin. It has a head and a tail. Let's try to deal with the head first. You ask whether we are independent, and you also ask the greatest achievement we have registered so far. Independence is concerned. Let us not try to prosecute the word independent. We should not be political prostitutes as fast as we want to define the term independence. Someone has argued that Gambia is not independent, or is not an independent nation. Gambia obviously is an independent nation. I fully agree with what Fatih said. Because what is independence? That is self-governance and determination. Gambia has a role to play, even in international organizations, looking at the United Nations, for example. Gambia is a sovereign state. Gambia is an independent state. But we have to look at the technical aspects of independence. We're going to say that Gambia cannot survive on its own. Gambia doesn't have enough electricity or good medical health care, so Gambia is independent. Gambia is independent in every sense of the word. Going by the technical aspects of the word independence, Gambia is an independent state. We are recognized by the world as an independent state. We are recognized by global institutions as independent states. We play an important role in international politics. We have our embassies, we have our foreign missions in every part of the world. If Gambia is not an independent state, we will not have acquired that. Look at countries, for example, like Taiwan. Look at other countries that are not considered as independent states. They don't have representatives in these international organizations. They're not even considered as part of the United Nations. We have 193 member states of the United Nations, for example. And Gambia is one of those states. So let's stop saying that Gambia is not independent. We should move from that debate whether Gambia is independent or not. Now the question is building institutions, building the right framework, building the right system towards the attainment of self-fulfillment. That is what is important. Because if people are, this is very common. People saying that, well, we cannot produce matchbox, so Gambia is not independent. That's a different debate. Independence in this technical format should not be violated. We are intellectuals. We should not prosecute the term independence. In relation to that, whether Gambia is independent or not, I fully agree that Gambia is an independent state. by going by the technical and diplomatic aspect of the word independence. Now, in relation to your questions, what is the greatest achievement? We have achieved a lot. Though, people may have different views in relation to achievement. For example, when the United Nations, Britain wanted to give Gambia independence, their main suspicions or their main worries was, will Gambia able to stand on its own? We surprised the world. We stood on our feet and we did not scramble still now. That is one of the worries, that we did not even attain independence. Like when Ghana attained their independence, Kurma said that the independence of Ghana is meaningless without the total liberations of the African continent. For instance, and the United Kingdom, we are so occupied with these occupations that we cannot give a small nation like Gambia because they will not survive on its own. But we survived, and still now we are surviving. We have moved from a lot of stages. We have at least international organizations. We have played important part even when it comes to peace and conflict solutions. Even in Guinea-Bissau, even in Iran, it was our former president, the late Kerewa Jawara, who played that role. So we have achieved a lot, even in international politics. But within the domestic aspects, we can say, well, Gambia are still living in poverty. But we cannot blame that based on the independent title, that tag name, but we can blame it based on leadership. We can blame it based on lack of effective institutions. I think that is where the problem lies, but not about whether you are independent or not. I hope I have spoken. I see your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mobidrame, for that, for answering those questions. Like it's two questions in one, both of them. Okay, this question is directed to Mr. Lamin K. Sabali. The question reads, as we know that the trade is central to ending global poverty, with the differences in technology, differences in resource endowments, differences in demand, do you think that trading with other nations can increase our country's economic growth?
Thank you very much for that wonderful question. Well, my answer to your question is yes. Countries that are open to international trade tend to grow faster, innovate, improve productivity, and provide higher income and more opportunity to their people. Okay? International trade also allows a country to participate in a global economy, encourage the opportunity for foreign direct investment. Basically, in theory, our economy can therefore grow more efficiently and become competitive economic participants more easily when we trade with other countries or nations. Trading with other nations is an important factor in raising living standards, providing employment, and enabling consumers to enjoy a greater variety of goods. International trade brings a number of valuable benefits to a country. It increases competition and leads to reduction in prices in the market, which provides benefit to consumers by raising the purchasing power of their own income and results to rise in consumer surplus. In addition, international trade is an engine of GDP growth. It acts as a stimulus to the entire economy. Increasing of foreign trade increases net exports. When exports are done, foreign currency is received, by which foreign exchange reserves increases, which subsequently increases the GDP for an economy. Balance of trade is one of the key components of a country's GDP formula. GDP increases when there is a trade surplus. That is, the total value of goods and services that domestic producers sell abroad exceeds the total value of foreign goods and services that domestic consumers buy. But in the case of the Gambia, well, I think it is the other way around, because almost everything we consume comes from abroad. Like you've mentioned here, someone said 99%. I wouldn't disagree to that. And most of those are imported by foreigners. As a result, many businesses in our country is controlled by foreigners. Now, trade, it's very, very important, because in trade, it makes everyone better off. But when it comes to a bilateral trade between one country to another, each country will have to look at the interests of your people. Now, when it comes to Africa, Gambia particularly, I would say, when we are trading with most of the countries that are more powerful than us, the only problem we have is we don't usually consider the interest of our people, which is very, very important. So basically, I will say, yes, no country can develop on its own. You have to collaborate with other countries so that things can go well. So on that note, we have problems to tackle, but I believe the answer to your question is yes. I will stop here for a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamodu.
Mr. Moderator, I don't know, Alassane Kante.
Yes.
Can you give me 60 seconds?
Yeah, so you're saying Sabali.
Yes, Sabali, thank you.
Okay.
Konate, if you can give me 60 seconds on Sabali's answer. Yes, it's important we get into trade, but we also have to understand on what trade are we going to do? Because most of the times, the trade that the Gambia is focusing on is on consumer goods. And consumer goods is not what would actually help us grow. Now the dynamics have changed. Countries are no more focusing on consumer goods, but they are focusing on things that will create those consumer goods in their country. And that could be technology can be imported. You get the point. When you import technology, my learned brother from Bangladesh who is studying engineering could actually help in making sure that those engineering machines can help commercialize our agriculture. Then those consumer goods you're producing would now be produced locally. So this is how international trade should be looked at now, and this is how our authorities should actually be looking at things. But if you look at it again, it is us as a people. What do we decide? What do we actually want to bring home? Import substitution industries can also be built, and trade can be looked at those angles. So Mr. Sabali, thank you very much for that. I thought I could just chip in for that.
Thank you.
Actually, it's Sadie. It's not Sabali. It's Sadie.
Okay, Sadie.
Yes, Sabali is Mariama Sabali.
Okay, all right, Sadie, thank you.
Yes, Sadie. Okay, thank you very much. We have done the first round of questions for the panelists, and we are also expecting questions from the audience. Audience, please, if you have questions, you can raise your hands and then you'll be called and then you state your questions, or you can write your questions in the chat box. This question is directed to our Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Islamic University of Technology. I hope he's still around. Dr. Ja?
Yes, I'm around.
Okay, thank you very much for those words of encouragement that you spoke about earlier. As you have visited many countries and met with more international students, and in Bangladesh, actually, you are being looked at as our father, as our role model, wherever you go even. So the question is, how do you think international students can contribute to our nation whilst being abroad?
Thank you very, very much. That's a very good question. I think, first of all, to master your field, the importance of education, even at the conventional level. What I see now most of the time is that students are very much prone to quick cash. Rather than looking for higher values of education, they are looking for quick cash. I think they have to refine their thinking of the values of education first, because the real value of education will make you a human being, and it will make you an independent human being. Because if you are not independent yourself, tied in the squeeze of what we call materialism, it's very, very easy for anybody to just use you. The first thing for them is and also to master their age, because now we are at the age of AI, artificial intelligence and all this. They have to master their age. And thirdly, to reconnect. What you are doing now is very, very important, because if you want to wait until you go back to Gambia after graduation, you will see that life goes very rapidly. Science and technology goes very rapidly, but you can start now reconnecting as a nation, as one country, and transcending other impediments like tribalism, or impediments like those impediments from you have to now transcend it while you are, for example, doing your education. Of course, one of the most important thing also is to exchange, because each one of you has a potential, each one of you has an ability that the other doesn't have. Sometimes is when we think individualistically, and then you are kind of say, okay, I'm now an engineer. If I go back to Gambia, no job, but you are a job provider yourself. If you know how to connect to the other in Turkey, how to connect to the other in other part of the world. We have to develop a philosophy of do it yourself, a philosophy of do it right now, and do it together, unity. So I think if we do that, definitely we can help the Gambia, not in terms of trying to go back to have an office, but self-employment. That is why the Bangladeshi paradigm of polytechnic, and I see that some of you are doing trade elsewhere. So the idea of self-employment, to develop it now is also very important. And when you go, you self-employ yourself for not depending on the government. That will definitely help in terms of boosting or helping the government itself. And then you will discover that, inshallah, what your potentials you can discover that you can actualize in a way that if you don't, you will not be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I would now like to call on my co-moderator to read the questions that the audience have posted in the chat box. So the questions are not going to be directed to the panelists like that. It's going to be read, and anyone who wants to answer it among the panelists can do so. So my co-moderator.
Well, I would like to direct this question to Lamin Kesedi. What does peace means to you, and do youth have any roles in preventing conflicts?
Well, thank you very much for that question. Now, peace to me is everything. Am I audible?
There is someone speaking behind you.
Shout down. Shout down. Okay. What I was trying to say is that peace to me is everything. And I believe to everyone else, it begins from peace of mind. So anything we are doing without peace, I don't think we can achieve anything in it. Now, coming to the question you've asked, when it comes to youth, well, you will see that we just have to be responsible, because in trying to ensure that there is peace in our country, I believe when we are occupied with something very, very useful to us and to our people and our country and to humanity at large, I hope in that way we wouldn't have the time to be engaged in some other activities that are not really good. Many of the people that are involved, all right, in most of these things that are bringing disability in our country, these are people that will only fold their hands together and not do anything, and you want to live a good life. Of course, you will have to engage into some activities that are really not good. So I believe when we are all, like Dr. made mention of, if you are not just thinking of what the government can do for you, sometimes thinking of what you can, because sometimes it's difficult. We are always saying Gambia is hard, Gambia is hard, Gambia is hard. There's this quote I would love to share with everyone here from Jack Ma, one of the Chinese millionaires. He said, where people say it is difficult, that is where it is easy to make it in life. Because where it is difficult, this is where you are able to think. You see, when you look at the Gambia, majority of the Gambians are saying Gambia is difficult. Yes, we all know Gambia is difficult. It is very, very hard. But we are giving this to think. All right? You think. If you think, you can make something for yourself. Just like the way foreigners are doing. They will come with creative ideas, business ideas, and then they will do well in business in the Gambia, and Gambians are sitting looking at them. You know, so when all of those people are making it in the Gambia and they are making it, you know, for their family, and then they will go back to their families in another country, what are the Gambians waiting for? So I believe on that note, we just have to learn. For some of us that are here, we are outside the Gambia, we are seeing how things are going. I believe when we go, we have to sensitize our people and introduce some of these things to them on our own way, because that is also very, very important. Sometimes you might feel like certain things that are happening in other countries might work in your country. It might not. What is important is you try to make it fit. I would also want to share something that I've heard from one of the, may his soul rest in peace, is a very, very great scholar from Senegal. He said in the 12th century, when Mansa Musa traveled to, was going to Mecca, the idea of guru, like kola nut, right? In the Arab world, they use tamarind, right? Now, when you look at how he transformed that, because he realized that that thing would be very difficult to get in Africa. So what he did was, when he came, he introduced the kola nut. So these are the kind of mindset we need to get to ensure that there is peace and stability in our country, so that our youth also will be involved into something meaningful, and they will not have the time to be doing some criminal activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lamin. Yes, Seri. And Farmer Bojan, can you add to that question, please?
Thank you very much for that wonderful answer from Mr. Lamin Kesedi. Definitely what he said, I concur with him. But in that also, I believe we need to sensitize our people back who we need to depend on. In a sense that sometimes we try to empower foreigners more than our own people. You'll be seeing that, for instance, a Gambian will go to being a mechanic or a carpenter or a masonry, but sometimes giving contract to those people, we feel like they cannot do that job, because it's like, to my own perspective, it's like we don't have confidence in ourselves. I believe this is sometimes the main problem in Gambia. You'll be seeing a Gambian will be doing the same job with somebody. And for instance, the guy will, for instance, you've been, the moderator himself might be, you give me a contract, I charge you $15,000. Now a Senegalese or a Guinean will charge you $20,000. But instead of paying me for that $15,000, you'll be trying to ask me that, no, it is expensive. Why not you come down? But for instance, this Senegalese will charge you, you believe that this guy is a foreigner, so he has the quality and everything. You'll pay that guy straight without not even baggaging. And not bearing in mind that this guy also have a family back home he need to feed. You understand? And we all know the material cost in Gambia sometimes is not easy. It's like we have youth in Gambia who can do it. But to my own perspective, it's like we don't have confidence in our own people. And I think somebody has rightfully said before, like in Gambia, although when I say we don't have full independence, that it doesn't mean that we don't have independence, but we have independence, but it's like the leadership, what is ahead of us, are not showing us what we can do. And they are not giving us the opportunity for us to do it. Because like in a sense that somebody who graduated with an engineering from mechanical or electrical, working as a auto mechanic or whatsoever in any company or any other places, I think it is high time we give chance to our guys to have hands-on instead of only having the paper certificates. Because the paper, it will be an A4 size. If you graduate from the university as a mechanical engineer or an electrical engineer, it is a paper. Now, to demonstrate what you learn has to be on hands-on. And in this, our leaders need to help us. For instance, I'll give you an example like Gambia, the electricity company is NAWEC, for instance. But how many engineers do we have who are certified engineers on the machines they work on? To my knowledge, I never heard of a certified engineer whom you know that they said, this is a certified engineer from MAN, this is a certified engineer from Benz company, this is a certified engineer from Gulf or whatsoever. And in certain things, now we will be exporting engineers to come and solve only codes and other things for us. But when we send our people, the machines we have in Gambia, to have hands-on, send them for industrial training. I think that will give us, our youth, more confidence to do the job more effective and efficient than relying on other people. And to be honestly, Gambia, we have, it is the youth that is the brighter future of any nation. And in the sense that we cannot develop without engineering or without the technical knowledge of the country. And this is where we are lacking. If you look at our auto mechanic industry in Gambia, most of it is occupied by the Senegalese, the mercenaries, the tailors, and this. And we have to empower our own people. If we said we have to create job for our people, creating job for our people is now we need to also give them the confidence that I need to give you the contract. I need to help you in guiding what you are doing. But when we said, yes, we have to create employment for our people, people will go and learn a trade. But now, are we trying to give them the opportunity to showcase their talent? That's a big question mark in our country. The shopkeepers, you will have a shopkeeper in Gambia, probably, maybe you will be sitting the whole day, they will say, this guy is too expensive. But they will prefer to go to a non-Gambian, giving their money to him. At the end of the day, that guy will, only a quarter of his money will be left in Gambia. Probably when the money comes, it will be sent to his own parents or building compounds and other things in his own country. I think we need to sensitize our people that whenever we have Gambians who can do any trade in any field, we need to give them the opportunity to showcase their talent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Famara. And I think, yeah, really we should change that attitude. We have received a question from the audience, from Ayman. He's asking, let me direct this question to Pamodu Drame. What can the government do to give, to allow the youth to give back to the nation? Is Pamodu Drame available?
Yes, I'm here. I am here.
Yes. The question is, what the government should do differently to help the youth give more to their country?
Okay, I will call it the 2 I's and the 1 P. We have what we call the 2 I's and the 1 P as far as the government is concerned. When we talk about the 2 I's, mean to include and invest, and the P means to partner. The government should, 1, invest in youth, that is youth capacity building. Because and empty bag cannot stand, obviously. So you must invest in the youth if you want to give back to the government. That is capacity building. The capacity of the youths must be built. That is to improve the human capital of the country. Human capital is synonym for any development in any nation. So it is important for the government to invest in the youth. That is the 1 I. And to include the youths. The youth must be included in the process of governance. The youth must be included in the system of governance, and the government must partner with the youths. For example, we are students, like let's just call a spade a spade. Like today is the day that we should just call a spade a spade. For example, we are international students in different parts of the world. The government, especially the Ministry of Higher Education, did not even have a database for all the students outside. You will even graduate as a top student, your government will not even congratulate you. You will not even receive any message from your own home country. They don't even know the numbers of students studying medicine or the number of students studying engineering in different parts of the world. They don't even give a heck. They don't even know anything about us. You complete school, you go to Gambia, you will roaming in the streets like a frustrated semester. Like it is not indeed. It happens. Let's just call it spade a spade. It happens. Like you'll finish school. Like you even have the fear of going back home. If I go back home, what will be my fate? That's the problem. There is no guaranteed job for you. You either prefer to stay in Europe, do the donkey job, being exploited by other governments, than to go home while you have the papers. And people who do not even have the highly educated people, the political prostitutes, the half-educated people, like are the people occupied important positions. So the government must invest in the youths, they must partner with the youths, and they must recognize the youths. Because the Ministry of Higher Education should have a database to know the number of Gambian students studying abroad. How many students are studying this particular area of specialization? How many students do they want to come back home? They should have that, but they don't even have a database. They don't have anything. So capacity building is fundamental. The human capital of the country should be really improved. I hope I answered the question from the audience.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. We have someone who raised his or her hand among the audience. The person's name is Me.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you read your question?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm Emeljane. Most of you here know me. Or some of you, I mean, from the Confederation. And I'm glad to see this discussion, actually. And I can remember we have worked so hard to build that organization, the Confederation, for Gambian students to come together and share ideas and also collaborate as well as network. And that's exactly what I'm seeing here. And that's why I joined this discussion. Okay, I want to ask 2 questions. One of them is regarding the education system that we have in the Gambia. And my question is whether the education system we have in the Gambia is good enough to address the concerns and the problems that we have. Yeah? Or is it that we are copying from others, or is it that our education system is or is it that our education system is not equipped enough to help us, develop, to help us grow? Is the problem with our education system or something else? And those address the concerns of our country. And secondly, the Arabic students, we have 2 sets of intellectuals in the Gambia. We have the English intellectuals and we have the Arabic intellectuals. Okay, it's either you go to Arabic school or you go to an English school. And most of the times when I listen to Gambian intellectuals or maybe senior government officials speak, it seems like they address only one side. And the other side, actually, what I would say is that they feel that they are being marginalized. And there's a huge campaign right now from Arabic students to gain their place in the Gambia. They think that there is not enough opportunities being created for them to excel in the Gambia. And they have groups, WhatsApp chats where they send articles to address this issue. And now they want to join politics. Actually, they have been speaking a lot about it. Let's join politics, We feel that we are being marginalized. We should have our place. We are the ones who can take this country forward. Okay, what would you address that? Do you think they are being marginalized, or do you think it's their skill set that is not enough for them to work in high offices in the Gambia? Yeah.
Thank you for that question. Can we have Modlamin Fati to answer that question for us, please?
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that question. First one was the education system. Well, I believe our education system it's not fit for purpose. Why? Because it's not practical. Just we had a webinar with Mr. Ba, who is now the principal of Bulum Ahmadiyya, former Nusrat English teacher. He told us that at the University of the Gambia, just an example, the tax system that they are studying is a UK-based tax system. They don't talk about the Gambian tax system. And if you look at it, those that are in the business field, because I'm from a business background, I don't know much about the sciences and others, but if you look at it in the business environment, hardly do they actually talk about practical things that can motivate the people to be into the skill set that would put them on the spot. Most university students, commerce graduates don't actually know the budget of the Gambia, allocations of different sectors. What are the key sectors that are playing in towards our economy? Because the focus is not actually towards those practical things that is actually Gambian. We are mostly talking about things that are not actually Gambian. Even our political science, the political science lecturers themselves are not actually teaching most about, it's just recent. They're not even teaching more about Gambian politics and its history. So the focus is more on international politics and all those areas, American politics and stuff like that. So the education system should be customized in a way that we can see Gambia. So to me, this is what I'm going to talk about education. But the second one is very, very interesting, and that is about the Arabic school students. First, he asked whether they are marginalized or it is that their skill set. It's two. The system marginalizes them. That is like Pamudu said, let's call the spade the spade. The system marginalizes them because today, even if you are a Islamic banking and finance graduate, but you studied in the Arabic sector, you may not be employed at GT Bank. But also, moving forward, I've been telling people, moving forward, let us also structure our Arabic schooling system. What subjects are they studying? Because the scholarships that will come from Saudi Arabia are scholarships that are based on what? Islamic jurisprudence, okay, Hadith and Quran. These are the things that most of the scholarships are coming on. But why not we redefine it? Can't there be, if it is Arabic school, let it be Arabic school, but there will be financial accounting taught in Arabic. There would be, business administration taught in Arabic. There will be medical science taught in Arabic, so that when our Arabic students also graduate, when they lobby for these scholarships outside the Gambia, they could also win it. And when they come, the government has a ready, platform or an environment created for them to also, move ahead with those skills. If you go to RN, registered nurses there are most of students who are from these two backgrounds. Most of them, some of them are from the Arabic sector, and some of them are also from both the Arabic sector and the English sector. So these are resources that can also help and serve as a motivation to those Arabic school students. So I feel the system has marginalized them, but also the syllabus present in the Arabic school systems is not fit to put them into the limelight so they can actually take care of national development. I believe the curriculum also has to change throughout so that they can also be well prepared into these contemporary skills that are present in the world right now.
Thank you, Modulamin. Maybe I can add, if you allow me.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Because you touch, this question is very important because it touches the core of what can move us from whatever we are talking about. To break the cycle, it's about education. But definitely, our system of education is detrimental to us because substantively and procedurally. Substantively, those countries that are developing now, that face the same fate of Africa. Look at the ASEAN. Malaysia, Mahathir Mohamad came to power with Abdou Diouf, the same age, the same year. When Malaysia was still a top rubber tapping economy. After 20 years, they went high tech and Senegal remained. What is the problem? Substantively, first of all, has to do with the language. You come to Bangladesh, their official language is Bangla. You come to Thailand, you speak of English, they run away. You go to China, their official language. So the language of education largely is your secret. And this is what Kwame Nkrumah in the beginning started when he wanted Africa to have three main languages, Hausa, Fulani, and Swahili, then to teach it at school and build our secret on our languages. Because if you build a system of education on somebody else's language, his language is his secret. When you think French, you cannot but to act French. When you think English, you cannot but to act English. Then substantively, our system of education has a lot of flaw in that sense. And look, now, why is it that we have schools of medicine in Africa? And today the virus, we cannot even produce how to call it, a vaccine. What is our school of medicine doing? Our schools of engineering in Ghana, in Senegal, in Nigeria, when we need a bridge, when we need a small road, we call China. What is that system of education? What is it producing? I was in the University of the Gambia. I served as the vice chancellor, even acting vice chancellor and deputy vice chancellor. The issue of substantiveness of the curriculum is a big problem. And now you come to procedure. We don't have a curriculum review, even based on the conventional status quo. Based on this conventional status quo, we should have very serious what we call curriculum review to connect the classroom to the industry. But now people are talking about first industrial, second industrial revolution, third industrial revolution, and we've got fourth industrial revolution, and we are not connecting classroom to the industry. That is why sometimes somebody just graduate and then, definitely there is a lot of flaw in the educational system. And when it comes to the Arabic, definitely, I totally agree with Moulamin. Your reply is very good in both senses. From India, the marginalization has been taking place, not because of us, but because of, that's the remnants of colonialism. I told you now, somebody reading Arabic in the jungle, in some of the areas in Koina or in Farafenye, they are more knowledgeable in terms of what we call knowledge, but they are now classified as illiterates. When you come to the literacy rate, you are classifying many people who are very bookish. They have a lot of knowledge, but they are still illiterate. Why? Because they don't speak the colonial language. So definitely they are marginalized, but I believe what the man is saying is true. They also have to work hard to put themselves at par. And that we started doing in the Gambia. I was part of the curriculum committee to synchronize the madrasa education with the conventional education and inject some courses of the curriculum into the madrasa, like mathematics and all that. So definitely they also have to do more to really make sure now that they become marketable. But it's a very complex system that is also indicating of what I may call a pseudo independence, because if you know, I normally sit with the summits. I sit with the OIC summit, where presidents sit, where kings sit, and where the big ideas are discussed in connection to the United Nations. You see, who fund our educational system? When you go to the United Nations and you look for money because we don't have the money, they also give you some conditions that cripple you for the rest of your life. So you don't think that we own our curriculum. We don't own our curriculum. Even today, for example, you go to many countries, like maybe Turkey is a different, but you come to Saudi Arabia, they are imposing on them to change their curriculum according to the new LGBTQ. So if a country like a king or a president receive instructions from World Bank, from other countries, to change your curriculum according to what they want, is that independent? So we are not even resisting the strategic decisions. So this also has to do, our educational system has to do with whether we have real independence for our own faith, because we don't have even control over our own curriculum sometimes, because the World Bank will give you a loan and tell you that this loan you have to do A and B and C. That is why even the real independence has to be worked out on your shoulders as young people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for answering that question. We already have two people whose hands are being raised. Okay, I'll start with Fatoumata Jabi. Fatoumata Jabi.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Fatoumata Jabi. I'm a master's student in Morocco doing public policy and governance. I just want to say thank you to you guys for this amazing discussion. I think the topic is multifaceted. It's very complex, but I feel like the perspective of everyone, we're all getting to the same direction of how can we make ourselves independent, how can we grow economically, improve our socio-economic growth. And I just want to say that for me personally, the reason why I decided to go into public policy and governance is because in our country, we are always, I think the topic is a bit divided. We are not completely independent. We are not completely independent, like Dr. rightly mentioned. Anytime we are asking for loans, anytime we are asking for outside aid, there are always conditions attached to that money. We are not free to do whatever we want with that money. There is conditions that are attached to it. But also we have another problem. We have leadership skills. We don't have good leaders in positions. When we look at Anambra as an example, so and I feel like one of the things is we don't have elites. When you look at most of these developed countries, they create elites that are going to manage the government. That is what we are lacking in Gambia. We don't have elites that are going to be controlling different sectors, trying to make government decisions. So I think policies also play an important role. No country will develop if there are no good policies. And I feel like that is another problem that we need to tackle. How are we going to create policies, and how are we going to implement those policies to respond to the societal problems? So all the discussion is really great. I appreciate the different perspective, and I feel like there is hope in what I'm hearing here. And like Dr. Jam mentioned, we need to come together as different international, like Gambian students abroad, to see how best we can give back to our country in our different ways. So thank you very much for this amazing discussion.
Thank you, Fatima Tajabi, for that wonderful and amazing contribution. We are running out of time, and we have one person who raised his hand, and we also have some questions in the chat box. So we will accept one question from the audience, from that Omar Kanye, and then 2 questions will be read from the chat, and with that we will conclude after that. So Omar Kanye, can you please read your question?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Omar Kanye. I'm studying electrical and mechanical engineering in the University of Edinburgh. And more or less, I don't have that much of a question. It's like a topic that is very dear to my heart has been mentioned. And I feel like I should just chip in a bit into that. And I'm very happy that this discussion is happening. I feel like this is the way that the Independence Day of the country should be celebrated. Let's sit and brainstorm about what is wrong and where do we go right. And I'm very amazed with the kind of contributions I've just been hearing from Dr. Ka, from Lamin Fati, Fatma Tajabi. It's just out like so many familiar faces. And I think the major problem with our country is the copycat method, like Lamin Fati said, like Dr. just said. It's a copycat method. Like the problem starts from the grassroots level. For example, from nursery school, we are singing songs about snow, about winter, about summer, while the Gambia has no snow or winter or summer. You don't understand anything from that. I only get to understand about snow or winter or summer like when I'm in my 20s in the UK. So what is exactly wrong? And like Dr. Jazz said, the secrets of any nation or development of any place depends on the language. That's where the secrets are buried in. So we cannot develop ourselves if you're just copying cutting from people when they have their entire system set aside, while those songs and phonics that we were singing in nursery school days are supposed to teach us about language, about the basic communication skills around us, but you can never use it because we don't have snow, because we don't have summer, because we don't have winter. We only have what? Rainy season and the dry season. So there is where the main problem comes. This is why we have leaders who are also copycats, copying every time our development agendas. We just copy something. We say, okay, UK said, okay, COVID-19 rules, lockdown today for everyone. When there are 5 corona cases in the Gambia, we say lockdown case for Gambia. You get what I'm saying? So situations like that are the reasons why the nation is like struggling a lot. And I'm really happy that people around are discussing about some of these uncomfortable topics. Because if we don't discuss about these things, there is no way the nation is going to move forward. You made mention that there is time factor. I just look forward to similar discussions with regards to the development of the nation. But like, yeah, this is just amazing to be here and listen to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar Kanye. I would like to read this question, and this question is directed to Mariama Savali. The question reads from Gamsil, Bangladesh. It says, why Gambians are known to be more productive at the international level than national? How can we, the students, change that narrative? Is Mariama around?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
It reads, why Gambians are known to be more productive at the international level than national? How can we, the students, change that narrative?
Well, okay, I think we're actually, I think we have this sense of proving ourselves to the international community than our own home, right? We have this mentality of victimization always. Unfortunately, we have the mentality of victimization, and I believe that's really unfair to the freedom fighters who were actually the victims, but they refused to be victims. They wanted to be survivors instead. So they continue fighting and to prove their self-worth, to prove what they want, to prove their competence in their country, not on an international level. But we tend to actually show our competence in an international level instead of back home. And I think that also is because we don't really have that much encouragement or the space to actually be who we want to be. We have external factors, or let's say, external factors that actually try to dictate the direction that our life should be and what our life should look like. Instead of what we want our lives to look like, we are very, like Dr. just said, we have this desire for materialization, right? We want the things, not the purpose. And I think there is more to life than just materialism. I think we need to search our purpose. We need to find a purpose, because without purpose, I don't think there's a direction of where we're going. We need purpose. We need to know what we want to be. We need to have meaningful lives. That's not tied to having the amount of money that you have. I learned this at a young age though, like there was this day I wasn't actually having a discussion. My sister was having this discussion with my dad, and she was talking about her plans, what she wanted to do. This is what she wanted to do. She has to do this. She has to do her master's and all of that. And my dad was just looking at her, and then he was like, there's more to life than the money. And at that time, I didn't understand it. I was just like, well, what's more to life than money? But now, as we grow old, you actually see that there's more to life. There's always this sense of purpose. There's this sense of having meaning in your life. And I think the only way that we can have purpose is to serve the people around us. There's no purpose without giving back to the people that are around you and benefiting those that are around you. So we can actually do this if we are ready to show what we are capable of doing without fear, right? We can do this. We have the skills, we have the potentials, we have the psychology to do all of this. So it's up to us.
Thank you, Mariam.
My daughter, maybe if I can.
Okay, go on, Mr.
Good answer. That's a very good answer. I think why is Gambians doing better in the you know the reason why, a shark, it has to do with the environment. When you have two sharks, two small fish, and then one you put in an ocean, the other one you put in a pond, this one will grow because people grow based on their environment. It has to do with system. Gambians are potentially wonderful. Gambians are really excellent in terms of they're excellent in terms of intellectualism, in terms of Gambians are really good. Anywhere they go, they compete, they take first, here, there, everywhere. But now, sometimes it has to do with the environment, with the system. Because when you are now in a system, the environment will help you grow. Because the system is systematic. It will help you actualize your potentials. Because when you go to the West and you work in a company, they have their own rules. If you don't perform, you perish. Perform or perish. Do you have that in Africa? In Africa, when you go to perform, they fight you. I worked in the Gambia for a number of years. And when I finished my education in Malaysia, I was able to get a job. But I said, no, let me go back to Gambia. Let me go back and serve my nation. Because I went back. Then you are, when you want to be straight, you work, you want to perform, you are surrounded by 10 people, they don't want you to perform. If you perform, that's the problem. So it has also to do with the system. We are very good people in terms of performance, in terms of sincerity, in terms of intellectual depth, but definitely we don't have an environment that encourages that when you go back home. And thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. This is the last question It is directed to doctors. We are sorry, to Gamsil Bangladesh, we have read one of your questions, so we will not be able to take your question for now. And the last question to Dr. Omar Jai says, is it still possible to introduce our national languages in our educational system? Is it still possible to introduce our national languages into our educational system?
Yes, definitely is possible. And we are now, I think, the last meeting in the University of the Gambia, you know that Sidi Jata, Honorable Sidi Jata is very particular about that. He's very particular about, introducing definitely the African languages. And now the university has a plan, in fact, to also start introducing languages like Mandinko, other languages. Already Mandinko and Fulani, they have, especially Fulani, they have their script, very, 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 very advanced. They have their dictionaries. And in the past, in Senegal, of course, they have the Wolof Chosanam Kajor Siri, Tukulul Per Bambalalo, Mandinkanar. These are the alphabets. And you come to Mandinko, they have also, our civilization, it was before Europeans. So it's not difficult at all if we now mentally get our independence. But you have to have mental independence first. To believe in yourself, to make sure now that you can do it by yourself. But also it's difficult to do it individually, because when Gambia wants to develop using its language, he is squeezed, for example, by European Union. So that is why we have to collaborate, but it's definitely possible. And we believe that the young people like yourself, I'm very hopeful and optimistic that inshallah, having listened to you, especially those who really insisted we have independence, I'm really happy to hear this fire. Make sure now that build on that and just try to have development, inshallah. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. And developing the language is not also impossible, because they are doing it now in Dakar University, Sheikh Anta Diop. And I think in collaboration, within 5 to 10 to 20 years, it is doable, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jah. This is all the time we have. We would like to thank everyone for assisting this. And with that being said, I would like to call on the presidents of the various unions to give a closing remark. We would like to call on Malik Job from Gassam to give us a remark. Is Malik in the chat?
Yes, I'm around.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. So, all of you here present. My name is Malik Diop, the president of the Gambian Student Association in Morocco, Gassam. A master student specializing in finance. I would like to start by acknowledging and also thanking everyone present here, our special guests, our panelists, and also our able moderators, and also especially all those behind organizing such a well thought of and also plan, as well as wonderfully executed event, which is all geared towards sharpening our critical thinking and also strengthening the brotherhood that we all see as Gambian students abroad. It is indeed, as Dr. Jah just rightly stated, that we have to break this cycle, and this cycle can only break through education. And what we are doing here, I believe it is one of the most important aspects of education. And none of us can do it alone, but together we can all do it. And we are all coming here as Gambian students. And I believe to if we continue in this direction, there is a lot that we can achieve as long as our education is concerned and also the development of our country. Without taking much of the time, thank you everyone, and congrats to everyone who is involved in the organization of this event. Thank you.
Thank Alex for that remark. We can call on the president of Gambian to come in. I believe it's Modlamin Fati.
Thank you very much once again. It has been a very interesting interactive program. Questions of the audience, it showed we're following, and the words of wisdom from Dr. Ja. It's always an excite listening to him because of the motivation and the wisdom that he will share. Lastly, I just want to conclude by saying and emphasize what Dr. Ja has said, and that is the connection that we need to have, the partnership, even if it is not from India to Morocco or to Turkey, but those that are in Morocco themselves, or those that are in India themselves can actually look at it, because our education should be a problem-solving approach. When we look at the problems at home, that is how we should be able to study in our various institutions. Identify the problem, study and approach that problem with a fantastic solution. Where you think you cannot do it, call a colleague, call a person else to see how best and where the person can actually be of help to intervene. With that, I also wish to thank everybody for your kind attendance, and that's it from my side.
Thank you, Mr. Modlan Fati. I would now like to call on the president of GAMSIL to give his closing remarks. Famara Bojan.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah once again. I thank each and every one of you who attended this wonderful discussion on a special day of our country. What I would like to lament or to buttress here is like this kind of discussion should not only end on only special days like Independence Days. I think each and every one of us who has speak here has give us a vital message that we are all taking at home. And it's like it's a collective responsibility from our end that we know that we are the people who should develop our country. So in that aspect, I'm urging each and every community members of their various associations to come together to create such kind of platforms so that at least we can come out, share our views and ideas how to develop our country. Because I believe that is the only meaningful way we can develop our country. Despite we all come from different backgrounds, different regions, but we have a collective responsibility, and I believe we are all trying to head in one direction. That is how to see our country to go. And in that country cannot be developed without the youths. And that youths also can never develop without not coming together. And that coming together also cannot be happen without not having a virtual or any kind of discussions that we need to put in place, at least to further that developmental agendas and other things to come in place. For that note, I thank each and every member from any part of the world who attend this meeting, and those ones who are not able to attend due to certain reasons or circumstances. I thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Famara Bojan. We would now like to call on Mustafa Abite of GSIC to give his closing remarks.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good evening from here. So my name is Mustafa Abite. I'm currently the president of Gambian Students in China. I must say this was a very interesting session, and we have to give credit to all those who were behind this, the efforts, the time, everything. We really thank you. I just want to say that, as what Mr. Dr. just said, Dr. Ja, that we have to create connections, and this is one of its kind. Just like what my brother just said, Famara, it's not something that we have to do on specific days like Independence or whatsoever. We have to be doing it almost every 2 months or so. Gambian students are everywhere in the world. Even maybe 3 or 4 students and 4 unions can come together and have a session regarding a very specific topic that will enlighten a lot of people. The Gambian also have a problem of continuity. when Mr. Jao was talking about the language issue, I remember back in my village, there is what we call, they used to learn Wolof, the old ladies there, and they call it Jangadu West. Like learning has no limit. Jangadu West, like there is no time limit for learning. So those old ladies, every evening or around 5 p.m., they go to the where they call the center to learn the language or the Wolof language. Most of them were able to write, read, and understand in the Wolof language. But that happened around 2007, 2008. But maybe after 3 years, you don't even hear about that. No one even talk about that. One of my brother was one of the tutors there. So they don't even talk about that. That's the problem of continuity we have. The same thing happens to this kind of sessions. I hope we are not going to implement that Gambian behavior here. We are going to have another different kind of session of this kind. I must say also there is a federation that was created by Jane and everybody, and maybe Habib and others who were here back in 2020 during the COVID-19 to try to at least get us our $300 from the Gambia government. That body is here, and I think it would have been a very great thing. We try to reconnect with them. We try to at least raise that, because I see that only Jane was the one talking about it. Only Jane was the one responsible, that Molami Jane. And I think if we try to collaborate with them, this session will be much easier to conduct than contacting president from here, president from somewhere. It's going to be very difficult. But if there's one union that combines all of us, it's going to be very, very good it's going to be very easy for us, not only this kind of sessions, but to tackle so many problems that Gambians are facing outside Gambia. So I must say thank you so much, and I really appreciate this session, and I hope we are going to have more of this. Gambian students in China, they are here for cooperation, and yeah, we are always available, inshallah, for any kind of invitation, and we are also going to send invitations to some of you, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bite. Here we would like to conclude our session with a closing prayer. Can Lamin Casey say?
I think we are missing. We want to call on Modu, Pa Modu Drame also.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, thanks for not forgetting me. Yesterday is indeed today's memory, and tomorrow is today's dream. Independence is a day of national reflection. It's a day of self-reflection. It's a day of stock-taking. I think we have the purpose of today's independence because we have reflected well. Even now, if I lie down, I can sleep on my bed very comfortably because at least I have served the day. We have reflected well. We have reflected by collecting the past and try to chart a way for the future. I acknowledge the presence of Dr. once again for his wonderful contributions and sharing his wisdom and knowledge. They say, if you want to grow big, always listen to words of wisdom from the elders. And we really appreciate that. I also acknowledge the wonderful contributions from my co-panelists. It was really important to have this debate today. Let's us try to speak the language of knowledge. And we can only speak the language of knowledge through reflection. And one thing I will say, Gambians, we are not very fond of reading. Let's make books our friend. Education is not within the four corners of the classroom. There's a difference between going to school and there's a difference between education. Education is the process of self-actualization. It's a process of self-awareness. You can go to school, you can get that simple degree or paper, but are you really educated? So we have to go beyond the four corners of the classroom and really acquire what we call self-education. On that note, I would like to say AGAS is open for partnership, one of the most structured student body in Turkey. On that note, I will conclude by saying thank you all once again.
Before the prayer, let me suggest that before the prayer, having listened to you, let me suggest that you keep this continuing by establishing maybe the virtual assembly of Gambian education, like that. Maybe any name that will make it an established thing that will help you, because don't underestimate this, because you are the youth and you are the one that will develop this country tomorrow. And those apps that we're knowing today, this app and that app can come from you. You are potentially good. So, but You have to insist on doing it. So if you can connect by creating a forum called maybe the Virtual Assembly of Muslim Students, whatever, and then you have a periodic meeting like this, it can produce books, it can produce articles, and then when you return, you discover now that a lot of the work has been done. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jah. Yes, we really should make a way to make so this continues. Can we have Lamin Kesise from August to lead us in the closing prayers before the national anthem?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, without wasting much time, we can just start the dua, inshallah. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وقنا واصرف عنا برحمتك شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك إنه لا يذل من واليت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت فلك الحمد على ما قضيت ولك الشكر على ما أعطيت نستغفرك اللهم من جميع الذنوب والخطايا ونتوب إليك اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وارحم على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت ورحمت وباركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you very much. Can we have Fatih to play the national anthem for us?
Hip, hip, hip.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lamin Fati. We have now come to the end of the program, and we would like to apologize for Mr. Hasum Sisa not being around, and we are so grateful for all of us who were participating, and great thanks goes to Dr. Omar Jah for witnessing this and participating and with the advices and the words of wisdom. So we have come to the end of the event. If anyone has anything to say, if not, then we can call it a day. Oh, the end of our meeting.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
The event is officially over. The facilitators like Mohammed Sao from Gamsil and then Sekou Demba. Do you guys have anything to say?
Assalamu alaikum everyone. We are just grateful and thankful to our panelists and our guest speaker, Mr. Dr. Ja, for sharing that with us from his abundant wisdom. We have learned a lot today from all the panelists and our guest speaker. And as the moderators, also, we would like to thank you all for successfully moderating this event. And we hope so, inshallah, this kind of events will continue. We believe this will not be the end, as many have already so interested, they love this kind of event. And hopefully, inshallah, we will continue and making this thing greater and frequently organizing such kind of events in the future. We thank you all for your attendance and presence and contribution. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. The host, do you have anything to say? Then you can end the meeting.
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Hello. Good. Thank you. ML Jane again from Sudan, actually. And I was really glad actually to see this program. I didn't know about it first, but I saw it on the statuses of some of the presidents here that spoke, and they know well that the Confederation, the Confederation of Gambian Students Union Abroad, it's like a body, it's like an organization that we tried to form since 2019, and the goals of the Confederation is just like what you have been doing here, actually, is to bring Gambian students together, to collaborate and network. We have worked a lot. We have tried to engage the Gambia government on the issue of our COVID-19 funds, and we have set up a constitution. And all the presidents here, actually, they are part of all the unions here. They are part of it. The Gambian students in China are part of it. The Gambian students in Morocco, they have been, in fact, one of the founders, actually, and the Gambian students in Turkey also, the same, and the Gambian students in almost all over the world. We have them in the Confederation. So I think this event could have been even bigger if the Confederation was engaged in order for other student unions to join as well. The Confederation, the only thing we have not been able to do is to conduct elections. We have tried on that, actually. I think most of you know about the Confederation. Every Gambian student right now abroad should know about the Confederation because the work the Confederation has done, in order to bring us together. And I think what happened here is the fruit of the Confederation, because the Confederation is what started this engagements, this bringing Gambian students together. And we came to know each other. Presidents came to know each other. I came to know a lot. I'm one of the officials of the Confederation, actually. If there are presidents here, they would acknowledge that what I'm saying is actually the reality. So I think this should not have been done separately. This should have been done with the engagement of the Confederation as well, so that other student unions can join from Sudan, from all over the world. This would have been a bigger program. You might have seen more than, like, let's say 1,000 students join. I don't know how many students would join, but it could have been bigger than this. And I think in the successive programs that you are going to organize, I think it will be very good for you to engage the Confederation so that other students can join. Or maybe if you can try to contact those student unions individually to join you, but I think it will be much better because we have been together, we have worked together. This is not the beginning, and the officials they know about it. The officials of the separate unions, they know about it. So if it is done collectively, I think it will be better. It will be much better. Yeah, so that's what I have to say, and I will try to engage with the student leaders of the various unions who have participated here, who have conducted this, to try to find a way to make it collaborative, to make it collective instead of separate, like the way it's been done. Actually, we appreciate what has been done here. I personally appreciate it, and but I think it could have been better than this. Yeah, thank you so much, and I greet all of you, and have a good day.
Thank you so much. Your comments and your words will be put into consideration. I hope next time when such things are being organized.
Thank you for sharing that, Mustafa David. It's very right what you said, but it's just unfortunate that that association have been existing and students in Bangladesh were not even aware of it, talk less of being part of it. So, and it's true, Bangladesh, all this thing was orchestrated, but we believe now this serves as a platform wherein we all come to know about each other and we come to know about the things that are existing, but kind of dormant in terms of performance. And we hope so from here, we will try to communicate and see how best we can restructure and also to revive the general student, international student body that you are talking about. We thank you for bringing that to our knowledge. Inshallah, we hope it will be successful, inshallah. So if anybody or anyone have something to say, you can. If not, then I believe the host can end the meeting for everyone. Thank you all once again.